My name is Carl Hinder, and you're listening to the Salon Help Good to Go podcast, the podcast for salon and spa owners who are looking to grow. The only thing stopping you is you. Episode 26. Dedication is what you need. If you're as old as me, you might remember back to the 80s when we had a TV program called The Record Breakers, and I think the guy's name was Roy Castle. He presented the Record Breakers, and the theme music, one of the lines in it was, "Dedication is what you need if you want to be a record breaker." Now, I'm not going to be singing that for you today, but if you jump on YouTube, I'm pretty sure there'll be a snippet in there somewhere that you can have a listen to. And the word dedication is the same with your business. It's the same with everyone's business, in fact. The trouble is, when I ask salons about their success or their development or their plans for growth, they always tell me, in fact, they nearly always tell me, that it's all to do with money and that they need money to make money. So I thought today we'll talk that through because I don't believe that for a moment. In my own personal experience, having developed my own companies, it hasn't been just about the money. One of the things that sprung to mind when I was thinking about this podcast was a series that was on the Discovery Channel, and I think it was called Undercover Billionaire, where they dropped off three entrepreneurs, three billionaires, into areas in the USA that they hadn't been to before. And not only had they not been to before, but they were dropped off. They had their identities taken away. They had no social media. They had no money. They had no contacts. They were undercover, of course. So here we have three entrepreneurs dropped off in a random city in the USA. The objective is for each of them to make $1 million in 90 days. So, roughly 3 months. Now, of course, we know this is Discovery Channel. We know there's a lot of editing going on, but you get the essence. I think the winner probably did 5 million, but they had to create a business that was over $1 million in valuation within 90 days. Now, what does the winner use? Does he use money? Well, the answer is no, because they were only allowed, I think, $100. And I know he got rid of his almost immediately. I think they had $100 in a car and told, go out there and sort things out. So he doesn't use it. What he uses more than anything is his ability. That's what we're talking about. Your ability to make money through a process of dedication and committing yourself. He committed himself to making this money. He said, I'm all in on this project. So first of all, what he does, now you can see where this is relevant to you, he comes up with a plan. And he comes up with a 3-part plan. He doesn't just dive in, get a job in, I don't know, McDonald's or something like that. He says, I've got a plan and this is what I'm going to do. Clearly, you're listening to the podcast. So let me ask you, have you got a plan? Have you got a 3-part, 5-part, 10-part plan? Because you got to have something to work towards. And what he did was he put a plan in place which kind of allowed for his foundations, if you like, for the basics to be taken care of. And I was thinking, if you are like that, if you are money poor or even time poor, ask yourself, have I got a plan, a real plan to get out of this problem? So the winner of this competition has a plan and he sets about it. He commits himself and he's dedicated to winning the challenge. As I've already said, this guy has no money, but he knows that he has the ability. He knows that if he dedicates himself to this, he can overcome the challenge. Yes, he does go and get a job, but as part of that job, it's kind of like a mini job. I think it's sweeping floors, in fact. He ensures that he gets accommodation. I'm only telling you this because it's a foundation. It's a basic. As part of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you've got to have that physiological thing in place. Things like food and water, accommodation, sleep, all that sort of stuff are part of your basics. You've got basics in your business that you've got to put in place before you can go off and do something else. Once he's got some of the basics in place, he then focuses on the next phase. And that's all about people. He wants to connect with as many people as possible. He's trying to meet them because, people are the biggest resource that we all have. So he goes to a gym, I think he gets a free trial, and he starts to ask around, who are the influential people in this town? One of them just so happens to be the local barber. And then there's a whole session on the local barber trying to put people together. But, I'm sure some of you as barbers and salon owners can appreciate how influential you are, how many people and how many contacts you have as well. Anyway, it turns out this guy knows everyone. Bearing in mind that the guy who eventually wins this is currently sleeping in a motorhome and sweeping floors, but he goes off to find as many new people as he can. In his own words, he says, I'm really looking for contacts who have contracts, which is basically what I try and get you to do as a business coach. This is all about you focusing on the right people. So you might have heard me talking about your ideal client or your avatar or your perfect client or any of those kinds of things. Well, that's what he does. He doesn't say, I just want to speak to people. He says, I want to speak to the people that have got influence. I want to speak to the people who have got money. That's essentially what we're doing. That's essentially what you're doing, by the way, when you're looking for your perfect client or your ideal client to generate your business. They have to meet you or they have to match your needs in multiple ways. One of them is financial. This guy gets rejected lots and lots of times. He gets turned away. He keeps getting told no, but he keeps going back. He keeps looking for more people. Why does he do that? Well, it's because he's dedicated. And this is the whole point of the podcast. When you're focused, when you're dedicated, nothing stops you. Now, he's got a plan and he's going to deliver it through his dedication. What I want to ask you is this. Does this sound like you? Do you have a plan and are you unswerving when it comes to delivering it? Because if you are, congratulations. You're probably in the top 2% of people. I don't even mean salon owners. I mean just people. I don't know what the actual percentage is, but we know that 8 out of 10 salon style businesses close within 10 years. So you kind of, you get the idea. I think it's a couple of percent really that operate in this way. The upshot of all of this is that with no money, no name, no contacts, no social media, no reputation, he goes on to build a business worth over £1 million or $1 million in 90 days. I want to ask you, why can't you? Now, I don't mean go and build £1 million, salon, spa, barbershop in 90 days. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is, in reality, you're not very dedicated to actually getting the results that you need or you deserve. Now, what I don't mean is that you are not working hard. That's incredibly important that we get this conveyed in the podcast. You do work incredibly hard, maybe, and I don't say this very often, maybe too hard. But what you're not doing is you're not dedicating yourself to the success that you need. You're dedicating yourself to working hard. You aren't focused on the right things. Definitely, don't want to change the difficult things, do you? I mean, how many salon owners won't do things like this? How many of you will not put your prices to the correct level? Okay, maybe you've dabbled. Maybe you've had a little try. Maybe the feedback was bad. Maybe you've even lowered them. How many of you truly, truly embrace retailing in your salon, spa, or barbershop? And I say embrace it. So much so that it changes the customer perception about your business, let alone allowing you to grow your business through the profitability of retailing. Or how many of you truly hold your staff accountable with targets? Or do you just think, well, they should have a target? I'll chat to them about it, but I never actually hold them accountable. So you can't be dedicated to your business by avoiding the things that will make it great. I know you're battling against your natural instincts here. I mean, I had some great feedback recently from a group of salon owners that I love working with and totally respect. What they told me was they didn't like my focus on getting salon owners to reduce their time working as hairdressers or therapists, barbers, technicians. Less time behind the chair, less time in the treatment room, etc., etc. Because that's what they want to do. That's what they love doing. And they don't like me kind of trying to drag them away from it. Now, emotionally, I understand that. But what you really got to identify here is when you're working on the back of a chair or in a treatment room, you've got kind of a low level of self-sabotage because you're restricting the amount of time that you have to go and change things. And that includes yourself, by the way. You don't have as much time to invest in your self-development, in your team's development. You don't have time to go and fix things. You don't have time to recruit properly, or you don't have time to do proper marketing structures. So yeah, whilst the feedback is kind of noted, it can't make any sense for you, because what you do instead is you work all these hours, working really, really hard, only to find that you don't have enough time to run your business. So then you go and work even harder to compensate for the lack of growth or the lack of functionality in your business. So for you to be focused, for you to be dedicated, you've got to put everything into what you're doing. You see, you aren't dedicated to having the best business. You are dedicated to working the hardest. And that's all for this week. Thank you for following the Salon Help Good to Go podcast. You can find more information about the person I was speaking about in the podcast, which was Grant Cardone. Have a look in the show notes for his YouTube link. Please leave me a review while you're there and let other salon owners know that I'm here every Sunday at 4 p.m. trying to give you all a bit of a kickstart for the week. Thank you very much for your support. I'll see you all on the next episode.